welcome to the podcast pre-show.
Hello.
So excited to have you here. We are, of course, podcasting about Bridgerton, episode 305, TikTok. We are live on Facebook and on YouTube. And this being the podcast pre-show, we're going to ask a favor of you.
Yes, what we want you to do is share this episode. Whether you're on Facebook, just hit the share button. If you're on Instagram, just take a screenshot of this, put it in your stories. And if you're on YouTube, well, that's great too. Take a screenshot of that or whatever, and go to those other social media platforms and share it there. This is the best time to share this podcast to make sure that it gets recognized by all the algorithms, all the people, all the audiences. And we get to grow the show, as they say.
That's right. That's right. So this is a fly-on-the-wall experience. Would you mind explaining that to our friends if this is their first time joining us live?
Yes, absolutely. So Mary and I are recording a podcast, and this is your just behind-the-scenes look of how we record a podcast, what that looks like. We're going to have flubs. We're going to have mess-ups. Our dog's probably going to bark at some point. This is just the inside look as to how it is done. And what we want to make sure is that you do have those conversations with the people that are on the platforms with you, whether it is YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. Those conversations are really important. Your voice is just as important as ours. We may or may not be able to read them just because, again, Mary and I are recording this podcast, though there is a listener feedback segment to this podcast, at which point we will be turning our attention to your comments, both that we already have prepared and if something tickles our fancy, Mary, we'll read them right here live on the stream as you are typing them to us. So that's that, Mob. And
I'm currently sharing. That's why I'm on my phone right now, as I'm making sure I share to all of you and all your socials. Do us a favor, let us know where you're tuning in from. Did you watch all 4 episodes already, or are you doing it bit by bit? Let us know in the comments and keep that conversation going.
Yeah, I don't know how you could stop. Just given the way that this episode ended, episode 305, it would be especially because of Cressida. Woo, girl. I think I would. It took effort for me to stop, just because, and I stopped only because I like to be able to be genuine in my scribbling predictions, and I just like I'm an old school person where I like the conversations that happen after each episode as opposed to the entire thing. So even though I think it pissed some people off that the season was split into two parts, to me that was the best thing, allowing us. And I think, Mary, we'll have some conversations about that today too, about that split and where it should have been and why it was the way that it was, and I think that'll be really good. So that'll be that.
Yes. All right.
All right. You ready to get into this episode? Well, you ready to make a podcast?
Yes, I am.
All right. We got 10 seconds for
room tone. And if you're new to room tone, I need to be awkwardly quiet for 10 seconds so Blake can record all the buzzing and humming that naturally happens inside our house. So in the post-production section of the podcast, if you download it on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Spotify.
Yep,
not
Spotify.
Stitcher. I always say Stitcher.
Stitch is out, baby.
It is. It is out. If you listen to the podcast through your podcast app in the future, it will have a more refined sound versus this live sound that you're hearing here.
Yes.
So I have to be awkward for 10 seconds.
All right. Here we go. Let's get it done.
I will always stand up for you. Because I love you. Ben.
Are you sure?
Everything I said to your mother is true. And you should see it as well. You are the cleverest, bravest woman I've ever known. You make me feel seen in ways I've never felt seen before. And then there's the way your hair cascades down your shoulder. The way your eyes shine when you look at me like 2 blue pools. The firmness of your lips parted just so. The softness of your skin. And then there are other parts I've been I've been dreaming about.
All the way from Providence, Rhode Island, welcome to Bridgerton with Mary and Blake. It's a podcast dedicated to Bridgerton on Netflix. So sit back, relax, and let's get ready to spill the tea. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Mary Larson.
My name is Blake, and yes, I do have to have the obligatory comment, Mary, about the mirror scene. It was great. But, if there's one thing I want to say in all of this, if there's one thing I have to emphasize about this episode, Cressida is my queen. She will always be my queen. I don't care what happens at the end of this season. Cressida is the best. What she did, watching her put that whole thing together, watching just that beautiful smile show up and say, I know what I'm gonna do. Ooh, man, that was some good TV right there. That was some I dare say great TV, Mary.
Oh, Blake.
Cressida is my queen.
You and your Cressida. I adore it for you.
She's the best.
I adore her.
I love that for you.
Yes, I do love. I love her for you, and I see why you adore her because.
Because why, Mary?
Because she's you.
She's me, and she's a.
Oh, she's a Slytherin.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Yes, she's a Slytherin.
But so is Penelope.
Ooh.
And that's a conversation
yes.
we're about to have. Whether or not you are a Harry Potter fan, I'm telling you, we'll make this understandable. All right, my friends. So, we want to first and foremost thank our friends at jointhenerdclan.com.
Yes.
We actually had some recent people join as members there. I'm going to get their names pulled up at a moment. But I just wanted to let you all know, in case you're new here, what jointhenerdclan.com is. So, Blake.
Yeah, it's a space that we have created for all of the nerds to talk about all the things that they love. And the nerds there get a better connection to us. We read all of their comments on live here on the podcasts. And we get a chance to connect with the nerds there about all the things that they love. We also offer special content, whether it is Baking with Blake or it is the knee-jerk reactions that I write about other shows that we're not necessarily podcasting about, but our audience wants to hear about. For example, I just did a couple of knee-jerk reactions on the show Shogun that came out on FX. I also did the one with Tobias Menzies about the assassination of President Lincoln. It's a great opportunity to connect about all the things that we love. You also get early access to all of these podcasts, in addition to special podcasts that we do just for Join the Nerd Clan, which is the latest one was Keep Calm and Crown On, which is a show about the crown itself, which was great. So there's a lot of great stuff that you get access to while there, including Blake's book club and also Mary's book club, which will be restarted about Bridgerton.
Mm-hmm.
So, and my book club is generally about Outlander, though we've been known to dabble in some other places like Twilight. I don't know, just throwing that out there, and some other things too.
All right, so I want to thank Evniki Edgar. I want to thank Mary Evelia. I want to thank Claudia Demick, Kathy. I want to thank Daniel, Monique, and Eva. And I want to thank Linda and Saren and Franziska, all who have joined in the month of June. Thank you, and thank those of you who've been members already. Honestly, without you, we would not be able to podcast and create this free content for listeners around the world. So we truly appreciate
I think 1,100 of you so far that are members at jointhenerdclan.com. So all of you, thank you so much.
If there's 1,100, then you're supposed to be doing.
Well, we have both free and non-paid members that are there.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's free, non-paid and paid members that are there, which amounts to 1,100.
So when you hit your goal of 11,000 paid,
1,000 paid,
1,000. Sorry.
Then I'll start Blake's book club right
now
away.
I'm understanding. All right. Thank you all so much for
and we're
understanding
close too. I think we're at like 950. I think.
Oh.
So we're close.
Okay, I will double check. Okay, And I also want to let you all know that we are podcasting about House of the Dragon also this week. So if you are a fan, or if maybe you're not a fan of House of the Dragon, but someone you know is, please let them know about our podcast. We are going to be doing that live as well. And so if you already get texts for Bridgerton to let you know when we go live, just know that you can send me a text and say the word dragon, and you will be added to our complimentary texting list for House of the Dragon as well. All right. So on that note, let's get into the show.
Let's do it. All right, Marvin, give us the mini plot recap.
For this episode 305, this, of course, is the first episode of the second drop of Bridgerton on Netflix for season 3. We are engaged. That's what happens in this episode. The engagement is announced in Lady Whistledown throughout the ton. It is a big deal. The queen puts a bounty on Whistledown's head, and Penelope is given an ultimatum by Eloise. You best be telling Colin who you are. Oh, well, guess what? Cressida beat us to it.
It's my queen.
Anna Chase Lounge actually got broken.
Isn't it
during
a
recording?
Whatever.
That chair
Got broken.
when they were recording. Fun fact.
Hey, girl,
You're welcome.
hey. Hey, girl, hey.
Episode details, Blake. Take it away.
All right, this one was entitled Tock, which clearly is a reference to the timer that Eloise has put on Penelope concerning Lady Whistledown, and it also feels a little bit like a reference to most of the other characters in this episode, particularly Anthony and Kate, as she has announced that she is pregnant. And it also feels like it's one for Francesca and Lord Kilmartin, because things seem to be going down a road there that will end up in marriage. As we've been watching The Princess Bride lately with our children. All right, the director was Billy Woodruff, who actually has been directing a lot of different things since the early 2000s, but mostly in the beginning of his career did music videos for the R&B industry, all the way up until the 2010s, where then he made a transition to films and television shows, where television shows like Vampire Academy, Tom Swift, A Million Little Things, The End Game, Yellow Jackets, and Fear the Walking Dead are his latest and most, I would say, prominent projects. And it was written by Azia Squire, who has written for episodes of television for The First Lady, Tiny Pretty Things, Boomerang, and as well as also created a show called Mary, We the Band, just for you nerds out there. For you band nerds. So that is that, and this is the first time that she has written for Bridgerton as well. All right, your cups of tea rating, Marvin. How many cups of tea are you given this episode?
I gave the last episode 304 5 cups of tea, and I'm going to stick with it. This was another fiver. I loved it. I laughed. I cried. I felt nervous. I was excited. It was riveting. We got a mirror. I mean, so many great things.
So many great
5.
things.
How about you, Blake?
You want to be surprised, Mary?
Oh,
Giving
yeah.
this one. I'm giving this bad
You know,
boy.
but I love that you used the word surprise, because that's what Lady Whistledown writes.
Ooh, girl. Yeah, that's
Speed and shock? Was that what it was? Speed and...
I can't remember now. Nerds, let us know in the comments. Speed and... I can't remember now. Crap.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, the surprise here is that I'm giving this one a big, bold 5. I loved this episode. I really enjoyed it. I can't believe you don't have
shocked.
I was just going to say, I cannot believe
I am so
that you don't
shocked that
have
I'm like digesting that you just said a 5. You, Blake Larson, friends who've listened to our other podcasts, hopefully your jaws have rolled down as well, and you need to be like a cartoon character and pull the curtain.
Yes. Get your
and have
tongue
your
back
jaw.
in.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm giving this one a 5. I really enjoyed this episode quite a bit, and as a matter of fact, as the rating indicates, this was the best episode of the season, and I would dare say also one of the best episodes that Bridgerton has put out. So I really enjoyed this episode. Everyone in the comments is like, "What? A 5 from Blake?"
Yeah.
Yeah, a 5. All right, you're GBG, Mary. You're good. You're bad. And you're great.
Oh, my good for this episode may surprise some people.
Please
Eloise,
say Cressida. Oh, sorry, Eloise.
Eloise giving an ultimatum.
Okay, yeah.
Being like, you need to tell him by midnight, thank you, Cinderella,
Yeah.
or else I will.
Yeah.
I don't love it because that's not very nice. Okay, that's a lot of pressure.
We got to talk about that.
But on the flip side, I love that she does it. It makes this whole episode so exciting. We get the tick-tocking
one
of
part
the clock.
secret, one part speed.
Thank you.
Yes, that's
Thank
what it
you
is.
so
Thank you,
much,
Jenna.
Jenna. But it really, like, I loved it. It really made this episode so tense.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it. I just love it. I'm not someone who would do that, but I can see how Eloise was pushed to do it.
Sure.
Because she's trying to protect her brother. So I loved the ultimatum that Eloise gave, even though it's not the nicest thing to do. The bad, there's a lot of things that could be bad. Obviously, Cressida could be bad. And mind you, Blake and I see our bads in different ways. Blake will sometimes say, like, what visually was jarring, what didn't work for him, what kind of took him out of the element. I frequently will do things along the plot line that just made me feel bad. And what makes me feel bad is, why won't Violet read the cues that Lady Danbury doesn't want her to get with her brother?
Yeah, well,
and
because
say something and just be like, hey, yes, I invited your brother. Are you okay with that? Is there something I should know?
Well, the problem is that her garden is so in bloom that it's basically on fire right now. There's been so much heat created by the growing plants.
I'm saying girl code. Figure out what's going on. Just because the part of me that's wondering, like, is she not bringing it up because of what happened with Danbury and her dad? Is this kind of a spiteful thing? Is she kind of Eloising a little bit and being like, you know what? I'm going to do what I want,
I feel
when
like there's
I
a little
want,
bit there.
how I want.
Yeah.
On the flip side, come on, girl. Time has passed. Like, just say, is everything okay?
Well, no, the time has not passed, because she found out recently that Lady Danbury is...
No, but I'm saying time has
the
passed
dirty.
since she did the dirty. Okay, it's not like it just happened. Yes, she just found out. But I'm saying, like, you guys are really good friends, and this is only going to get more awkward. Plus, what atrocities could this guy have done? Does he like to be with goats or something? Like, I would want to know, first off, hey, your brother seems to be kind of courting me. Is that okay with you? But also, you're really not nice to him. Why?
That's fair.
Does he have, like, extra nipples? Is he into some weird stuff? Is he a thief? Is he like Jack Featherington? Why?
You know, it's all.
And
it's
what?
all a
Because
fair
she's
question.
never mentioned him. I'm like, Violet, you wouldn't approve of this of any of your kids. Hi, stranger, who, like, my confidant obviously rolls her eyes about. Find out the dirt, girl, before you get down in the dirt.
Yep.
Anyway, and then my great is Colin rescuing Penn when Lady Featherington is touching her brow. What did you do? Basically saying, you slut. Okay, you pulled a Marina.
Well, yeah, but also not even that, but just like you had the bird in hand with Lord Debling,
And you're not worthy of a Bridgerton.
Yeah.
So this is messy.
Or even regardless, well, not regardless, but what they did to us, how they treated us, and now you're succumbing yourself to.
But then Colin coming in.
Yeah,
I proposed out of love, and her reaction, and how I don't want you to ever speak about our Bridgerton name again. I was like, Colin, if I didn't already love you to begin with, this seals the deal for all viewers. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, Blake, how about you? What's your GBG?
It's kind of hard to not like Colin after that one.
Agreed.
As soon as he walked in there, I was
all
like,
Gryffindor.
That was so Gryffindor. It was disgusting. It was.
It could have roared. It was a Griffin roar. Once again, Harry Potter.
You're a wizard, Harry.
All right, for me, the good is humanizing these characters. It is easy to look at these people as fictional characters, especially within the grand scope of Bridgerton itself. It's easy to get lost in that world and just see them playing out for the plot of it all, especially as we know how these characters are coming together and the relationship that is starting to bloom, or the many relationships that are starting to bloom. A lot of it sometimes feels like it's in service of just having a relationship bloom. Sometimes it's easy to forget that these are actual, within context, right? Because it's a fictional story.
Yes.
But within the fictional story, you forget that it is... you forget that these are actual people, and they have reactions outside of their love-making relationships, right? The examples of that for me were how the brothers react, Benedict and Bennington and Anthony react after Colin leaves the room, right? And they hold their hands up like, "Oh my God, really?" Like that was a great moment, a stunning moment for those brothers because they're the eldest. They never expected this, and it feels like a genuine, honest moment between them about their brother, who they just. Oh my God! Like, can you believe that? Also, Anthony being a total hardo about charades, a total fracking hardo.
Just yelling different flowers' names.
Forget-me-nots, lilies. You know, like, oh my God, I loved that moment. That was perfect. Just because, again, you get a chance to humanize this person. Even Kate, right? Even Kate. Sitting down, having a moment to actually chat with Eloise, and be like, what's up? I look forward to that pairing. Oh my God, I can't wait for that pairing. All right, my bad. I gave this a 5, right? I gave this a 5.
Yes, you did.
There can't be many bads.
We're all shocked, Blake. We are all shocked.
There can't be many bads, right? You're not allowed to have a 5 if there's a bad, really.
No, it was a...
Well, 5 plus.
5 plus.
5 plus.
5 plus is good, great, best.
Yes. So
you're still allowed a bad.
You're still allowed a bad, but it's got to be a dinky doink bad. It's got to be one of those bads that it's a bad for the sake of being bad, right? And I got that.
Okay. Give it to us, Blake.
Lady Tilly's wig when they were...
The post-coital wig?
Yeah. So bad.
Why?
So bad. It just looked like a mop on her head.
I mean, she just,
I know. But I'm just saying, it looked really bad. When her hair is up and it's done and everything... You know when you can tell that it's a wig?
Yeah.
The way that it just falls on the person's head?
Yes.
Um,
We've been through Outlander.
Oh, the dead spider on Jamie's head? Yes, absolutely.
But I do have to say, when she is moving around with that giant wig.
What'd you say?
When she's moving around with that giant wig.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, lady, Whistledown." Which servant came in while they were doing the dirty to just put Whistledown on her nightstand?
Oh, good point.
Because they're right there, rolling around, doing the things, fixing her wig. So. And she probably tells her little maidservant, no matter what, when an issue comes out, I don't care what's going on. You put that on my nightstand. Did they wave? Excuse me, Bennington.
All right, so my great, I have a tie. First, Mary, is your good, but it is my great because it is a very... well-used writing trope, and that to me is the ticking clock. The famous example of that is Alfred Hitchcock. As I've always stated in Mary and Blake Media, if you have two people talking across a table about just nothing, it's a boring scene. But you put a bomb under that table with a clock that's ticking down, and those two people are having the same exact conversation. It's an entirely different scene, and when you create that kind of tension, you have change. And that change is what makes good television. That was certainly accomplished, Mary, in this episode with Eloise making a deadline of midnight. It sent the tension of this episode up into the freaking clouds, right? We're into the stratosphere at this point. And it set a whole tone for the episode that I think really puts it, for me, into that 5 category, right?
Yes.
But also, my main great, though, is the rhyming of the shots with Penelope. At the beginning of the episode, you have these canted angles and like this very unstable movement of them walking into the Bridgerton house. It almost feels dreamlike, but it's also creating a sense of real stress, right? It's creating a sense of, I'm walking into this house, I don't know what to expect.
This was also sudden.
Right. And holy smokes, this is happening. It's both great and kind of bad at the same time. But it is warmly lit. It is candlelit. It is welcoming. It is everything that I think that you would want in that feeling, except for the visual language of being unstable. Whereas at the end of the episode, as Penelope cannot breathe, once 12 o'clock is about to hit, we have that same style of camera work, yet everything is cool colored. It is blue. She is alone. She can't breathe. And she is really unstable. It's taking the same feeling and it's taking the same language and translating into something completely different at the end. So it's kind of 2 in 1. It's a bookend, but it's also a rhyme. And I really like that. I really like what Billy Woodruff did with that feeling and the visual language to translate that feeling to the viewers. All right, the music in this episode, Mary, it was POV by Ariana Grande. And just take over for me while I get the music up for me.
Oh, okay.
Please.
Thank you so very much, Blake. So let's see. This, of course, is during the mirror scene. So when Penn and Colin are in their soon-to-be new house and they are intimate together for the first time. This really gets the chorus of it is when we are really in Penelope's perspective.
And I got it right here. Hold on.
Okay.
Here it is.
And she's watching Colin say all these beautiful things about her while they're looking in the mirror. And some key lines are, I want to love me the way you love me, for all of my pretty and all of my ugly too. I'd love to see me from your point of view.
Oh.
So stinking perfect and sweet.
It's a perfect opportunity, and I really think that it was a really nice choice of song.
Yeah.
I will admit that I'm not a huge Ariana Grande guy,
Okay.
so I don't really know the song.
Okay.
But given the lyrics and how pretty it is, at least the way that it's been covered by Strings from Paris, I think it's a good fit.
I agree.
What do you think?
I agree. I love that they went from Pitbull to Ariana Grande. Like
Seamlessly, might I add.
Yes. Hey, you can when you instrumental cover things, you can do a lot. You can do a lot. All right, you ready for some analysis of the episode?
Yeah, so where do you want to start? Well, you know what? Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that the opening tree, the Bridgerton tree,
Oh, yes.
is different. Of course, it's always this blooming springtime tree with flowers all over it. And it is stormy. The petals are being flown off. The branches are going wild. They set the scene. Hold on to your butt, Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, yes.
Like, this is going to be an episode. This is going to be a second half of a season where we're getting some dramatic stuff.
Do you think that title card stays the same for the rest of the season?
I don't know. I'm interested to... Being the Harry Potter fan that I am, we always use, a willow tree. Not always, but frequently they use the landscape to show the changing of the seasons.
Especially at Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah, and so it's an interesting thing to see this because now I'm wondering, will we go through different seasons? Will this season of Bridgerton expand into the fall and into the winter? Are we going to see a Christmas version of the tree? I don't even know. Anyone else want a Christmas Bridgerton special?
Oh, so much.
Seriously.
Who wouldn't want that?
I would love it. Netflix, if you're listening and you're like, what can we do to fill time and space? Because they have announced the next season will not be out for 2 years.
Well, more than
Ish.
likely. More than
Ish.
likely it won't be 2 years, yeah.
So drop a Christmas. Series. Siri doesn't understand. Why does it take this long? This is honestly, Siri's right.
Yeah.
My iPad Siri is right.
I don't
understand. Why will it take 2 years? We are no longer needing to wear masks in this pandemic situation that our life was in 4 years ago. You know that this is your biggest moneymaker. You know the kids. There's been books already written. You're not waiting for George R.R. Martin to come on out with the next installment.
Yes.
Why is someone not working on this
My
all
guess
the time?
My guess is it's the period piece aspect of it. Costumes got to get made. The set's got to get dressed up. The writing has to take place.
The writing should be happening. Like, it should just be nonstop. Writers don't get a break.
That's
Okay? You get 2 weeks off.
Well, they just did it. They held a huge strike in order to make sure they got breaks. So
Okay, you get your breaks, but you don't get a giant break, okay? Like, the people who are creating the costumes and the writing, they don't need to be going out on publicity tour right now.
yeah. Well, that's
Just
also
like
probably
the
something
writer,
else.
just like the actors, generally don't need to be working on this stuff when it's done in the editing room. Like, all of you have substantial times that you're not hardcore working.
Yeah.
That you could just be continuously working, okay?
Well, I think one of the things that might have set it back too was the fact that yes, as they were working on season 3, there was a big strike. Writers couldn't write. They couldn't do anything.
They need to call Peter Jackson from Lord of the Rings. That
Okay.
man knew how to get this stuff done. Okay? Liv Tyler said she was on set for 2 years?
No, way more than that.
Okay? She said they became her family.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Eat, sleep, drink. Bridgerton, friends. This is it. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to write for Bridgerton and I'm going to write for someone else. No, you give them good money. Let them have their little vacations, but keep these people. You're going to be using a lot of the same clothes, at least for the guys.
By the way,
unless they come back as Indiana Jones.
Go to MaryandBlake.com. Listen to the Leftovers podcast with Mary and Blake. We did interview Liv Tyler about that, and she did say that to us as she was making lemonade in her kitchen.
She was making lemonade. Just going to have a little lemonade. You do you, Liv.
Oh, Liv.
You do
You're perfect. I mean, you're almost as close as Cressida. But
okay, so the opening Stormy Tree.
yes.
And we have the newsboys who all have red socks. Why do the newsboys have red socks? Are just the whistle down paper delivery boys in red socks?
Oh, come on, you know.
I don't know.
No, you know.
I mean,
You-
I would
you
love
know.
it if Penelope made that choice and she's like,
Oh, no, you're all going to stand out.
yeah, they're going to know you're
When the
mine.
red socks are out, it's
Yeah.
whistle down time.
Right? These boys deserve new socks. I'll get the red ones. Once again, the length of these whistle down sheets, however.
It's a freaking pamphlet.
Penelope got home at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
after partying with the Bridgertons and announcing her engagement, writes her whistle down paper, gets in her little carriage with or without Ray, still the jury's out, who of her staff knows that she does this, has the printers print the whistle down papers,
Yeah.
comes back home,
And then it's out the next day.
and it's out the next day, and it is still small print,
Yep.
6 pages essentially, well, five pages essentially worth,
Yeah,
if you
1,
think each
2,
column.
3,
4, 5.
4, 5. Yeah, 5, yeah.
What are you writing about? How much did you observe last night? I just have to think that most of it's advertisements.
No,
That is-
I don't see any advertisements in there.
What does she write about? And even the queen is like, there's not much to it.
Yeah, that's true.
There's not much to it, then why is it so long? At least the queen's note, that would have been the size of the whistle down paper I thought
Yeah.
Penelope could have written after
Well,
being
I
in
mean,
a
logically,
carriage.
you'd have to imagine that we're only getting the tightest bits.
But I'm saying she wasn't even a wallflower last night. She had
Right.
drama going on, so
Right.
she didn't even have time to figure out
How
who's
did you
me.
feel about the show showing Penelope write the
Love it.
paper? Because part of me kind of likes to consider Whistledown still a separate character, and I think there's some legitimacy to keeping Penelope, even though we all know that she's Whistledown. It is what it is, but there's still some legitimacy to keeping them separate, like keeping that a mystery, for all of us, even though there isn't one. But ideologically, there's still some mystery there. Like, let the mystery be a little bit.
I also see it as an addiction, something, not an addiction in the bad sense, but this is something that she craves. I mean, think about how many people, they have something wonderful happen to them and they want to post about it right away on social media.
That's
They
fair.
want to be sharing it. They want to get that oxytocin. Penelope has had to say every other person's engagement so far, and she finally gets to have her moment. Her mom dropped her like a hot potato last night when Debling, didn't propose to her. She now gets to do it her way. She gets to use her voice to let the world know, you all poo-pooed me, you all overlooked me,
Yeah.
and now I'm going to give you the biggest surprise of the season. Like,
Yeah.
how empowering is that for someone who doesn't get noticed, that she gets to be the one that writes her story
Yeah,
for the
and-
world to see.
And not only that, she gets to wield that power,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I love, and again, this is one of the reasons why it's a 5 for me, right? The interplay and the subtext of what happened between Whistledown and the Queen, right? The Queen is saying, oh my God, my sparkler, she's just mediocre. Whistledown's gonna freaking run train on me. And then she looks at it and says, she just lost. She's weak. That is perfect. It is perfect, right? Because you can take a separate meaning from that, from whatever I take from that. Yes, the destination is still the same, but why, right? Why is she weak? Mary, then I ask you, why do you think Penelope pulled back a little bit, pulled her punches a little bit as it relates to Francesca, and why do you think she pulled her punches in terms of the queen? Is it because she's afraid? Is it because she's weak? Or is it just because she's looking to bow out?
I think it's because she had an O for the first time in her life.
So she was
And
satisfied.
she was on an oxytocin high and was like, nothing's going to bring me down. Nothing's going to rain on my parade.
No
Plus-
wizard that was or is.
Yes. Yes.
She's defying gravity.
She is defying gravity. And like I said, she didn't really get to listen too much last night. She was dancing with Devlin. She was
Sure.
dancing with Colin. She was in a carriage for a while. She was at the Bridgerton's house celebrating and, fighting with Eloise.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't think she has a lot in regards to scoop to dish.
Yeah, but
also,
there was
she's
no,
so happy.
Yeah, there was no venom in her words.
Yeah, she's
that
riding the
there
high.
usually is, right?
When you're having a great day, when you're in love, when things are working out, man, you're seeing the world through rose-colored glasses.
But for me, though, it feels a little bit. It feels a little bit like she's pumping the brakes, and she's pumping the brakes purposely, because now she knows that she has to tell
That too.
Colin,
Yeah.
right? And if she pumps the brakes and she lets up a little bit,
And she talks about her future sister-in-law, Francesca, in a negative way, for example.
yeah, and then all of a sudden everything's found out. Like there has to be, it has to be a maneuver to be like, I'm gonna move away from the whistle down persona a little bit and start backing away so that the queen kind of lets up a little bit. This whole persona kind of dies away, and then whistle down just goes away. I feel like that's probably the logical move. The problem, though, is that she didn't anticipate the queen's reaction, which to me is going to be one of the primary movers of the remainder of this season.
Yes, has to be.
Because even though my queen has said that she is Lady Whistledown, I think some people will buy it, some people won't. And
Your queen, meaning Cressida.
Yeah.
Yes.
the real problem is still that Eloise knows that it's not her.
Yes.
Eloise knows that it's Penelope.
And Penelope will not let that die, which is going to be so interesting. When Eloise confronts Penelope during their engagement announcement and gives her this ultimatum, I am shocked they didn't go to a different room. They just go outside the door. When it's obvious Eloise is mad and Penelope says, I'll go check on her, can't their family hear them? Don't you think Hyacinth has her ear to the door when she's like, does he know you're Whistledown?
Hyacinth knows all.
Knows.
She
Seriously.
knows all.
What I love, though, is this is the first time Eloise really talks to Penelope about her frustrations since first finding out that she was Whistledown. And so this is very therapeutic for Eloise. And I am proud of her for saying he can't love you truly until he knows you.
And it's fair. It's a
Yes.
fair assessment. Do you think she did it the right way, though? Listen, writing tool, it's perfect. But in terms of...
Well, initially she doesn't give her the TikTok timeline. This is engagement day.
But she did, and
Later on that week, yes.
Is she a little aggressive in all of this?
No.
And are they making Eloise really to be the not the villain, but an antagonist in this story?
I say no.
Why not?
Because she's being somewhat Hufflepuff. Okay, she's being protective of her family. She is taking care of her brother, Colin. He cannot marry and have this lie unknown to him. Yeah, no, I'm all about this. I'm okay with Eloise doing it. She told her essentially like a week ago, you need to tell him. Please tell him. Okay, I will. All right, great. And then like a week goes by and it's their engagement party. She's like, you still haven't told him, and you're probably getting married in 2 or 3 weeks because things here move quickly. What do you mean you still haven't told him? What are you waiting for? Do it, because I can't have my brother's heart be broken. He's not dumb. He is going to figure it out, and it should come from you. It should come from you before you get married. So I'm okay with Eloise doing it to protect sweet little Colin. I would want Colin to do that for Eloise. I would want Anthony to do that for Daphne. I would want any of these Bridgertons
We would
to do
want
it
for
for each
Hyacinth,
other.
but the problem is Hyacinth would already know. You know,
We would want this for Bennington.
it's a of course I would want it for Bennington.
Right?
Of course, because he's so sweet.
Yes.
He's my second favorite.
I
now.
know he is.
Bennington was the favorite, but Cressida has moved up. She's taken the top spot.
So I don't think it's the nicest thing. And had Eloise said it that night, had Eloise been like, "Oh, great, you're engaged. You better tell him in the next hour," that'd be too much. But she says, "You need to tell him, or I will."
It's a little aggressive.
And a long time goes by in Bridgerton time.
I gotta say, the editing of the time passing was that also a little aggressive.
Penelope blinks during charades.
And it was a half hour.
Yes.
What are we talking about?
Yes.
That's another little sub bad, I'll have to say. It was close to making it a 4.95.
And Penelope wrote her whistle down papers immediately leaving the Bridgerton house.
Right.
Like, it's not like she even put her pen down. Because maybe Eloise could say, "Okay, you didn't write anything. Maybe you're stopping."
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Penelope and she could have had that conversation where it's like, you just need to stop. You just need to stop writing then. And eventually somehow tell him and figure this out.
Yeah.
But Penelope rewrote the very next day.
Yeah. I don't know. My sense is that the Eloise thing's it's a tad aggressive. But regardless, I still think it makes for great conflict.
Yes.
And it makes for great drama. And it makes for that the tension in that relationship seethe even further. It bubbles up even further.
It's more
And
Gryffindor than Hufflepuff.
I would agree. And then
Yeah.
what it actually really does is that it sets the stage. It sets
For
the
your
stage
girl.
for my queen. I'm going to keep saying that word. I'm going to keep saying that phrase for Cressida, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the show, Jess Brownell, did such a smart thing for Cressida. It's that if we had taken what?
I'm just, Cressida, you could see her thoughts. Ooh.
Yeah.
She
you
won't
could
have to get
You
married.
could literally see her adding up
She'll
all
get
the
wealthy?
numbers.
Wow.
Especially you don't have to get married, like that
Mhm.
whole thing. But Jess Brownell did the smart thing in making Cressida go from one thing to another, right? If we had had this moment of realization from Cressida without any of the stuff that we've kind of invested in this season, it'd be like, okay, like, all right, get out of here. But it actually gives her, Jess Brownell, during this season, took her from, at the end of season 2, just a plain old plastic to an actual person in this season. It took her from someone we kind of like a little bit and we kind of understand a little bit. And we see...
I don't like her a little bit.
We
but
see
you
her...
can.
But we have an understanding
Yes,
of her
we
a
see
little
her
bit
motive,
more.
so we understand her drive.
It's not just like mustache twirling villain stuff.
We see how she was made into
And-
be this.
Right, and why she's like that, and also a little sparkle of hope. Like the stuff
Mhm.
with Eloise, she's the one calling Eloise out. Imagine that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we looked at Eloise as this kind of nice figure, a kind of person who you must make haste, doesn't have the patience, but it's in a cutesy kind of way. But now Cressida is the one calling her out for this stuff. And Jess Brownell made her go from someone we kind of understand back to, oh my God, like maybe this isn't the person that we thought she was, or at least have an understanding of why she did it, right? And a perfect representation of that is when she's sitting at the table with the lord that she's getting married to and the mother, and then surrounding her in the back is a literal fire burning, making it look like she's in hell in her own mausoleum.
Yes.
Stunning stuff. Like really great stuff. I'm sorry, I've been talking for a
No,
little bit. I
it's
know you
okay.
wanted to say something, so go ahead.
I was just thinking about Eloise. Which would you prefer? Eloise telling Colin or Eloise holding this grudge forever with Penelope and Colin being lied to and not knowing?
Well, I mean,
What would you
let's-
prefer of those two?
Well, I mean, for the sake of drama,
No, like pretend this is your real life.
my real life,
Pretend you're Colin.
I want neither. I want Colin to find out by himself. I want him to see something. like I predicted that he would see something. And I think that's just, but really, if I had to make the choice and if I wanted it, I gotta find out from Penelope. I have to.
Okay.
If I don't, then I'd be a little
It's
upset.
eating away at Eloise. I would have to tell.
Oh, of course you would, because you're such a freaking Gryffindor. Oh my
Brother.
God,
Brother, I can't take it anymore.
like you wouldn't have even waited until midnight.
A week later, no.
No, it wouldn't
I
happen. It'd
wouldn't
be
have
like
been able to
the
do
next
it.
day.
I would not have been able to do
no
it.
chance.
Nope.
No chance.
Oh my God. Hurt my little brother. Or big brother.
So
Colin, however, when Penelope is having that TikTok and the time is going by and Cressida is about to say her stuff, Colin looks at Penelope and says, listen, I know something's wrong. I know something isn't right.
Right.
If you are rethinking your choice of marrying me, that's okay. Oh my God. That's what he thinks is wrong with her. He thinks that she doesn't love him. She thinks that she doesn't want to marry him after all of this.
yeah. I know it all happened very quick. I
So
get it.
Sweet. Yes.
It's just such a little sweet thing.
But you know who's not sweet? Lady Featherington when she finds out. Because everyone's learning about the engagement through the Whistledown originally.
Right.
And we have Lord Danquith reading it aloud with so much flair and drama.
Oh, I know. It's the best.
And, of course, that's how they all find out. They spit their tea. We've got Danbury leading about it. And we get that big line, who needs fresh air when there's fresh gossip? Queen, you were talking about her getting the paper.
Yes.
She sets up mani-pedi time for Girls' Day.
How could you not?
Oh, my God.
We're celebrating this fantastic moment.
Are.
And again, with the experience that we got from the Queen Charlotte spinoff, this feels more genuine.
It feels so good.
It feels more like these two would absolutely do this.
With Brimsley standing there smiling on.
Yes.
Remember, Brimsley handpicked Lady Danbury as a friend that Charlotte could trust.
Right.
And I love him overseeing this, being like, thank goodness we made this choice.
Yeah.
Because she can celebrate. She can share some of these feelings. The Queen is wearing Bridgerton colors in this scene.
I saw that. Yeah,
with all the blue and the silvers.
Even her wig. Her wig
Yes.
is blue tinged, and the flowers in her wig. Yes, absolutely.
But
Mary,
Lady Danbury tells her, why would you want to catch her? You've had so much fun.
Well, yeah, now I think it's about, pardon the word, but it's about the kill. It's about
winning.
It's about her winning now.
Yeah.
But Mary, actually, when this scene went down, and she says, well, what's the deal? Danbury says, what's the deal? And the Queen shares a little bit of a smile with Brimsley. And it harkened back to that very quick moment that you noticed that I really appreciate now, which is that smile between the two of them. I wonder
and
if
she's
this,
near the pineapples and the diamonds.
Right. I wonder if this was the plan all along.
Yes.
Like if this
That's
was
how I
the,
take it.
Yeah, like if this was the thing that they were doing, now it's just okay. Now it's actually done, and here it is. Like, do you think those two are connected?
100%.
Okay, yeah.
And like you said, we get to just have it fleshed out more with their relationship. There's a million Bridgertons. Okay, there's a million of these people. Anthony and Kate now came back, adding 3 to the party because they're pregnant, of course. Anthony, so pumped to make his pregnancy announcement. I want to yell it after all of Mayfair. They run inside the house. Family, oh my gosh, have you heard the news? Cullen is engaged. Anthony's face shuts down right away. And in my mind, it's because he's like, I can't.
This is my day.
This is my announcement time. What? And Kate is doing the right thing. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. But you see him be like, what the heck? All right. And then, of course, they go and they chat together and they have their cute little brotherly time.
Yes.
Bennington, of course. Are you going to do your own brother?
Oh, I know.
Love. But we've got this pregnancy with Kate and Anthony, and Kate puts on the engagement party.
Yes.
To celebrate
and I
all of
loved
this.
seeing Kate in this moment. Seeing Kate as ostensibly Lady Bridgerton is something nice. And even having her being referred to as Lady Bridgerton, it feels like a transition is happening. It feels like there's movement within the story. you can see how and you can feel how things may get a little stale, even though the show is, for the most part, well written and it's well directed. You can almost feel like the structure of everything, right? You can almost feel just because of the nature of what is written. We're seeing these two people get together. They have this courting period, or there's a struggle period, and then the relationship blooms, and then something happens, and then the relationship is great again, and so having this kind of movement within the characters of transition, at least makes it feel a little bit different. Which is again why, as I'm looking at Cressida here on our monitor, I think it's good to have these moments with Cressida where we have a little bit more understanding of these side characters, because it gives us a little bit more flair, gives us a little bit more world building to latch onto, other than just the plot of how this relationship comes together.
One of the relationships that I am really excited to sink our teeth into a bit more is Penelope and Lady Featherington's. As she is going on, we're talking about the house. She was saying, Lord Devlin was a safe choice. He was be away for several years. Or as Eloise said, and no, because that was Lady Featherington, and she's saying, we have all this history with Colin. One of the things that I thought was so brilliant in that scene, so Lady Featherington does what she does, which is either she bites her knuckle, or she touches her brow. So she's touching her brow. She's like, "How could you do this?"
It's peak Lady Featherington.
And Colin comes in. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Penelope turns her back to him and touches her brow.
Really?
Just like her mother does.
Oh,
and her mother
excellent
does it.
stuff.
It was amazing. And if we need any more confirmation that these two women are similar, they're giving it to us. They're giving it to us that they are both very driven women, that they are both incredibly smart women who are looking out for themselves, who really above all are looking out for the people people that matter to them, whatever that family may be for them. And I just think this is going to be a very, very interesting thing. I love that she gets called out by Colin. I'm interested to see how things continue. She goes to the engagement thing. Oh my God, this decorations are drab. And then she sees Lady Bridgerton. Oh, I love your decorations.
Right.
Or no, she said it to Colin. Tell your mom I said I love the decorations. Where are the drinks?
Right. I need a drink.
Yes.
May I present to you a lamp? No.
We've got a lot of...
Before we move on, I do want to mention Kate. Another good humanizing moment when Eloise is speaking to her about the party, and she's like, "Oh, you're doing a good job. You seem really good at this." And Kate says, "Oh, I am. I am. Thank you so much. Good stuff, man. Good stuff."
The Mondriches, okay, great, whatever.
I know you're
Filler.
so bored with them, but I can't be bored with them. It's really good.
No, it's not that I'm not. Okay, you know what? I figured it out.
What?
I don't have forever with this show. I only have 8 episodes with this show. And it's like, I want to spend more time with the main people.
Fair.
And so I feel like if I had more episodes, if I had 12 episodes, then I would be able to care more about Francesca and Mud Boots, or I'd be able to care more about the Mondriches and the Spoons. But I don't. I'd be able to care more about Violet and whatever his name is, Mark Anthony. I don't even know. I just don't, because I'm trying to focus on Penelope and Eloise and Penelope and Colin. And I just feel like there's a lot of extra stuff going on. And now Penelope and Cressida. If you're not directly involved with Penelope right now, I don't have time for you.
Which makes me think that they're going to be directly tying the Mondriches in to the main storyline somehow.
Maybe their son marries Hyacinth.
That's what I feel like, a little bit.
Go play chess.
Yeah, right?
Are you meant to be?
Will
I see you in 4 seasons?
There's a good scribbling prediction in there somewhere, I think, Mary. I agree with you. You can't just have something in your story for the sake of metaphor purposes. It has to be directly involved somehow, some way. And if it can be cut out, then what are we doing? If it's independent of the story so much that if you remove it, nothing changes, it shouldn't be in there, right? So at this point, if you remove the Mondriches, does anything change?
No.
I don't think so either. So that's why I feel like there has to be some kind of crossing point. There has to be an intersection.
We will see.
At some point. It may not be this season, but it may be building to future seasons. Yeah.
Speaking of, you were talking about Lady Tilly with her messy hair. How did Penelope fix her hair? After Colin took it all out and they hung out in the chair and did all their things, which was a beautiful scene, by the way. We just need to give
Yes.
major props to that. So well done. Absolutely stunning. Love, love, love. She does her hair and they're back in the carriage. And I'm like, Ray wasn't there to fix your makeup. Do you have a little makeup bag and hair bag? And did Colin know how to fix your hair? You look perfect
man.
when you get your Queen Charlotte note.
Right.
Out of control.
I don't know. Maybe she, maybe she's got a kit that she brings along. I don't know. She got a good hair curler. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
When they are at the engagement party and they're making their toasts, Colin clinks the glass, ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
and hands his fork to Eloise.
That's true.
He just hands it to her.
Oh, here you go.
And then Eloise does a toast saying, let's to truly knowing each other before the clock runs out.
Yeah.
The clock of life.
It's a little much.
Lady Featherington
Little much.
toasts how proud she is of Penelope, match of the season. And then Bennington has the quote of the night. I cannot tell if this party needs stronger drinks or weaker ones.
Bennington's the best.
I would have
man.
lost that game of charades. How is that charades? I don't understand what's going on. Do
Yeah,
you just open
that
a
was not
dictionary
charades.
and pick a word?
That was not charade. The 1 and the 2 and my second and the half. Get out of here with that nonsense.
And Muddy Boots, I'm sorry, didn't do it for me.
Oh, no,
even
I
the
loved
finished
that
story.
Scene. I loved that scene.
My favorite's Violet blinking constantly. Like, what is going on in this
Are you
storyline?
serious? No, she ends up crying a little bit and seeing
The second
Francesca.
time. The
how
first
happy.
time, she's just like, what?
Yeah.
Oh
No,
my
I
God,
like that.
This is your choice.
And now that I'm looking at Newton, I also love when the two of them are like about to get the deed done, and it's like, no, we can't. Newton's staring at us.
Mhm.
Oh, your dog? No, our dog. Good stuff, man.
Oh, you know what's good stuff?
What?
Hearing from you, our listener. In case you don't know, you can submit your feedback on our social media posts. At
Oh, one other thing.
jointhenerfan.com.
I want to call out before we do this.
Yeah.
There's a great visual transition. Well, not a transition, but just a great visual cue. As everybody is at the party and Penelope steps out from the wall, we see one Cressida move to the wall to become a wallflower, who, by the way, invited herself. What didn't receive an invitation. She's so poorly thought of. And when she does move to the wall, she stands in front of yellow flowers.
And blue flowers.
And
they were
blue
yellow and blue
flowers.
flowers.
So obviously a representation of what Penelope and the Bridgertons coming together are. So just a great visual cue for those of you who are paying close attention to that.
You know who is paying close attention? Our friends at jointhenerdclan.com.
Oh, we got to play the music. We ready? Oh, we're doing
Yeah.
listener feedback now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now
All
you
right.
got it. We got to process.
Kicking things off, we have Angela Hickey, who said that this was definitely her favorite episode so far. She was so impressed. Bravo, Bridgerton. They fearlessly embrace diversity and acceptance for all. Most modern shows say they do, and in certain aspects they have made terrific strides, but rarely do shows take that inclusivity beyond race, sexuality, and religion. Very rarely, meaning almost never, do they extend that inclusivity to a plus-size female, especially as a heroine, or handicapped people, either mentally or physically, in a positive, affirming, and elevated way. If they do feature those issues, it's usually featuring the aspect as a negative, a strike against them, something they have to rise above to be accepted in spite of it. But this season featured a fuller figure woman as the heroine and embraced her as comprehensively as they did a heroine of any other season. And they weren't afraid to show a little pooch belly in the sex. They didn't hide it because of the visual. Even the fact that they did sex scenes at all is impressive. Also, mad props to Nicola's fearlessness and a big Philly boo to the classless people who fat-shamed her.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, they also showed a handicapped member of their
Aristocracy.
Thank you.
I got you.
And they showed him, there are just a couple words, that and antibiotic, that I have. That's not how you say it either.
No,
Antibiotic.
it's antibiotic.
Yeah, I have a couple words that I don't say correctly. Sorry, Angela. And they showed him as self-assured and having intelligent and witty conversation, not making the handicap the essence of the character, but including him as normally as any of the rest. I am just so impressed by Bridgerton's philosophy in this area, and I 100% agree with you, Angela. I think particularly this being the year that a lot of people are losing grand amounts of weight,
Yes.
particularly with medicational help. Now, granted, a lot of people, that assistance is 100% beneficial, and everyone's body is their own. But I am hearing, especially from the younger generations, that because of the new fad with diet medication, actually we are regressing, especially for our younger women, and that very skinny is very, very in for women who are portrayed as Penelope's age. We're looking at
Sure.
these like older teenagers. That is coming sadly back in style when after we've made such strides about body acceptance. So I love that of all the years for Penelope's story and for a woman of her figure to be the heroine and shown on stage, that it's happening in this present time. So I completely agree. What did
Yep.
Caitlin Spencer say?
All right, Caitlin says, I got to give this episode 4.6 cups of tea. My good. Colin defending Penn to her mom and Lady Featherington actually taking it to heart and trying to do right by Penelope. My bad. Eloise in her speech in Ultimatum trying to force Penelope to tell Colin. It just seems so petty. I kind of agree with you there, Caitlin. But as a writing tool, it makes a lot of sense. My great, though, Anthony and Benedict's talk with Colin after they find out about the engagement. Are you going to duel your own brother? I swear this season has some of the best scenes with the Bridgerton brothers. Go ahead.
You can do it.
Oh, Jim says, I give this episode 4.6 broken settees because the stress it gave me during the engagement party was real. A little tidbit that I found during the game of charades, when Anthony tells Professor Lockhart's favorite color, this is because in the books, Kate canonically smells like lilac.
Love it.
I also want to say here, the Jazzer says, love on YouTube, loved how awkward the engagement party was. Sometimes joining two families together can be awkward, and this depiction made it very funny.
completely agree.
Particularly our two families, Mary.
Yeah, they're wildly different.
It's so different and just so...
My family's the Bridgerton family.
Yeah, and my
Just
family
let's talk about it all.
is just my family.
You're the Cowpers.
My sister Shannon is perfect.
Oh,
She's
Shannon's
amazing.
lovely.
But everybody else is very much the
It's
Cowpers.
tough.
Sorry.
They're tough.
Go ahead.
Beth wrote in 4.7 cups of tea. Her good. Kate, in her new role as lady of the house, the way she cares for each member of the family reminds me of Violet on her way to being an excellent mother. Her bad, Eloise's speech. Petty Elle, so petty and awkward. And her great was Colin putting Portia in her place. He has found new purpose in being Penn's champion, while Penn finally has someone in her corner. Looking forward to seeing how this loyalty gets them through the revelation that she is Lady Whistledown.
This one comes from Melissa. She says, I give this one 4.8 cups of tea. I loved it. Colin speaking up for Penn to her mother, Portia. It's about time she was put in her place for all the grief she has given Penn for all these years. And Colin speaking up for her like that proves just how much he loves and respects her. And it's also, I think, fitting too, Mary, that he provides a house for her at this very same episode. I like that the show made the choice to go from having him protect her in front of her mother to actually giving her a space to live in, a space that is her own, a place that she can be vulnerable in. Vulnerable so much, Mary, that they engage in intercourse for the first time. The bad, Eloise and her deadline for Penelope to tell Colin that she is Whistledown. First of all, it's none of her business. I understand that she's concerned for her brother and doesn't want him to get hurt. She's certainly entitled to express that to Penn, but to put that pressure on Penn to tell him the truth by a certain time was unreasonable. Do better, Eloise. Do yourself some better. And my great, the mirror sex scene, in all honesty, on first watch, I was kind of iffy about it. It was very different than the sex scenes in seasons 1 and 2, but after rewatching it, I've grown to love it for many reasons. I loved that Colin wants Penn to see how beautiful she is and shows her in the mirror. I loved how he asked her for permission every step of the way, asking if she is okay. And I loved how gentle he is with her. I loved both Penn and Colin's expressions. I thought she clearly shows in her face and her reactions that this is what she had been dreaming of for years, being so in love with him. And Colin just had an incredulous look in his face, like he was so in love with this woman who was his best friend. Just an amazing episode.
One of the things that I need to note during that lovemaking scene, however, is she's like, what do I do? And he's like, no, I'll do it all. And she's like, no, tell me. What do
Yeah.
I do? And he's like, okay, well, you can touch me. And she's like, okay, where? And he's like, anywhere. And she's like, okay, boom. And he's like, but
Nope,
not there.
Not there. Not yet.
Colin!
Don't tell me
the only
anywhere.
direction is to touch anywhere. And she's like, what's this new toy? All right.
So yeah, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna wrap this episode up because we do have a hard out. We have to get going, and we will save the rest of the feedback for this for the next episode. But I do want to say one more thing. The Jazzer here on YouTube also says Kate's outfits in this episode were on fire. I felt like she stole every scene she was in. Yes, especially the dress, Mary, that she was wearing at the party. That dress, it did something
Stunning.
to me. It was
Stunning.
It was perfect. All right, you ready to close this bad boy out?
Yes, do you have any scribbling predictions?
Oh, yes, I do. Scribbling predictions. Here we go. All right, so here's the deal. Because Cressida, my queen, has taken the mantle of Lady Whistledown, obviously there's going to be some stuff going on with that. This now buys Penelope enough time to kind of go along for the ride here. At least narratively, it buys some time. My sense, though, is that she will not say that she's Lady Whistledown until the wedding day. Perhaps even say it during their vows.
Ooh.
That's my thought.
Look
That's
at
my
you
thought.
bringing all the drama.
So I love drama.
Mine is that the little Mondrich and the little Bridgerton get together. There you go. Very futuristic.
Yeah. Hyacinth.
Hyacinth, yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Ready to close it out?
I am.
Let's do it.
From the bottom of our hearts, our friends, thank you so much for tuning in, for sharing the podcast with your friends, and for leaving us a written review on Apple Podcasts. There are a lot of Bridgerton episodes of different types of podcasts out there. In case you don't know, a lot of people are watching this show. And your reviews written on Apple Podcasts, whether that's how you listen to it or not, matter so incredibly much. So if you have not yet taken a moment, you can write a sentence or two. Apple Podcasts, find Marianne Blake, Bridgerton.
Yes.
Leave us a little written review. We read it. It warms our hearts. And more importantly, it actually helps in the algorithm. Yes, I just said a swear word. The algorithm, like, ugh. But it actually helps in the Apple Podcast algorithm so more people can find this podcast. So if you have enjoyed it, if you've been here listening to the very end, there are probably other people who would enjoy it just as much. So if you haven't yet taken a moment, please head on over to Apple Podcasts, find Bridgerton with Marianne Blake, and leave us a written review. Not just the stars, but it actually needs to have like a sentence or two.
Words, yeah.
It'll make all the difference for us.
And
so thank you.
We had a call to action last episode. We got to give everybody credit. We had a number of reviews come in, so let's keep that momentum going. I would love that. So if you didn't do it last episode, maybe now's the time to do it. If you found what we had to say here both enjoyable and informative, and we provided value for you in your Bridgerton experience. And remember, don't forget, ladies and gents, we're doing House of the Dragon podcast as well.
Yes.
So just keep that in
busy.
mind. We are busy in Marianne Blake Media. So if you're into House of the Dragon, we will be having, as we're recording this, hopefully an episode tomorrow for House of the Dragon.
All right, friends. On that note, my name's Neri.
My name is my queen, Cressida.
Oh, my God. Go out there and brew some tea.
Let's do it.